Now, before I start the video, I have one serious statement to make. The Pixel 6 Pro is better than the Pixel 7 Pro, and let me tell you why. And I say this because when comparing the 6 Pro to the 7 Pro, in terms of overall user experience, it's basically the exact same phone, with the biggest difference being the price. And that's where the Pixel 6 Pro has the upper hand. Just like the 7 Pro, the Pixel 6 Pro has an amazing software that is arguably the smoothest in the game. It has a really good display that can last you all day even with heavy use, and it holds up very well compared to other top tier flagship phones. And now that I've told you about the Pixel 7 Pro and 6 Pro similarities in terms of user experience, let's take a look at the price. The Pixel 6 Pro is listed at $650, which is not only cheaper than the 7 Pro, but it's also very comparable to the Pixel 7. So the fact that it's almost $300 cheaper will be the ultimate deciding factor for most people. And I know that it's crazy to say that the 6 Pro is the best Pixel phone in terms of value, but believe it or not, it really is, and I want to share my experience with you so that you can see how it holds up in everyday situations. Now, starting with design, the Pixel 6 Pro has the same look as the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, and it looks really good from the unique camera bar to the flat edges on the display, and I really appreciated how they use quality materials that'll result in better durability. The design is really good, different, and reliable, so I think that it was an amazing idea to implement this style on a very popular phone. But looking at its color, the version that I have is Sorta Sunny, and this is one of my favorite colors that's been released. It has very shiny sides along with a glossy back that gives it that right amount of depth and resulted in a really good looking device. Now looking at display, the Pixel 6 Pro has a 6.7 inch LTPO display that, just like the Pixel 7 Pro, was very good. And whenever I'm scrolling through my phone, it looked very nice, everything looked good, the responsiveness was very precise, and I had no complaints about the overall feel. I liked how it felt great despite being considered a cheaper phone. The 6 Pro has a 120Hz refresh rate. Scrolling through the OS and many different apps felt as smooth as ever, and I was really happy that it was able to keep up after over a year of use. The display can also drop down to a lower refresh rate whenever it needs to preserve battery life, so if you're someone who wants extra battery life and doesn't really care about refresh rate, the 6 Pro does have that capability. The bezels are pretty small. Right here you can see that they're wrapped nicely around the screen and are much cleaner overall. The hole punch camera is also very small, so it won't bother you whenever you're using your phone. Now when it comes to brightness, the 6 Pro doesn't have a lot of nittage, which isn't that great, but when it comes to the price at this moment, it's really nothing to complain about. Whenever you're using your phone outside, no matter how much the sun was shining, I was having trouble seeing, but again, this was only in extreme cases. And now when it comes to the size of the 6 Pro, I can't tell you whether or not you will love it or hate it, but I do want to list some pros and cons that you could look out for. Now the pros of having a big screen is that the viewing experience is much better, the battery is bigger so it'll be able to last longer, and bigger phones tend to have slightly better resolution. Now the cons of having a big screen is that it makes it much harder to use with one hand. Trying to simply reach the top of the screen requires more work, and you'll need some pretty big pockets if you want to store your phone. But again, I want to let you guys outweigh the pros and cons because everyone's needs are different. Now the responsiveness still holds up very well after a year of use, but something that I noticed was that my phone would get a little hot more often and became unresponsive, and this only happened when it was very hot outside, so it kind of was a problem. Now the resolution and viewing experience of the Pixel 6 Pro is an amazing benefit when it comes to the display. I was able to see everything very clearly when watching videos. Playing games on it was as fun as ever, and I wanted to give you guys an idea of what it would look like when watching something and playing the game. Now the Pixel 6 Pro has a 5000 mAh battery, which is pretty great when compared to other phones, and I would say that the software held up very well and gave me really good battery life. And mind you, I'm the type of person that is usually on my phone all day doing things like writing scripts, planning b-roll, shooting videos, scrolling through social media, watching YouTube videos, and texting my friends, and I'm usually getting over 5 hours of screen time a day, and I charge my phone twice a day, once right before I go to bed and one full charge on my portable charger, and most of the time I did use it to the max, but again, this is after a year of use. The battery used to be much better, but again, it's still not really bad. And if I could give you guys a quick estimate, I would say that my battery is usually on 25% by the end of the day, which is really good, but again, this is with help from my portable charger. And now the last thing that I want to touch on when it came to the battery was the charging. My phone would usually take over an hour to get to 100%, and if I'm being honest, it really wasn't that much of a problem for me. Whenever I put my phone on my portable charger, I didn't really need to be on it because I was at work, and again, I would use overnight charging, so I didn't really peep it. And now looking at software, the 6 Pro supports Android 13, 13, and just like on any other Android, you have the app drawer that holds and categorizes all your apps. You have the new wallpaper system that is a huge upgrade and feels much smoother on this phone, and you have many more minor things that makes the phone feel even sleeker. And I felt the sleekness all the way through. Pixel phones are typically very smooth when it comes to optimizing software, so I'm not shocked at all when I say that this phone does a really great job when it comes to Android 13. The software was very smooth and worked very well. It felt just like the Pixel 7, and I feel like most of you guys will realize that in terms of software, it's really not that much different from other top tier models. And I also decided to test out some games on my 6 Pro. I play Asphalt 9, which is a game that can really test out the chip, and as you can see, it held up very well and I didn't get any lags while playing. Now the haptics weren't that great if I'm being honest. There were many times where I would have my phone on vibrate but would miss out on some messages because I couldn't hear it. So overall, I would say that they're a downgrade when compared to the 7 Pro. And now the final thing that I wanted to note was that the 6 Pro will be getting 4 years worth of software upgrades, so when it comes to longevity, it's definitely got you covered. Now just like the Pixel 7 Pro, the 6 Pro has some really loud speakers that were really good whenever I used them. I usually use them in a house when watching videos on social media or YouTube, and I didn't have to turn it all the way up because of how loud they were on the lower tiers of volume. And I also tested out how they sounded when playing music, and if I'm being honest, they're loud, but the quality isn't the best when the volume gets to the max. And I also tested out the 6 Pro as my alarm, and I had no problem waking up from it. I didn't have to set multiple alarms, and I didn't have to worry too much about receiving important notifications whenever I turned on my ringer. And right here, I'm going to give you guys an idea of how the speakers sound.
His first points of the night. Well, in the way it really is. His offensive game. That shot right there. That would be good as a stat too.
Now the Pixel 6 Pro has a 50 megapixel main camera along with a 48 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide, and based on my usage over the past year, I would say that the pictures look amazing. Now starting with the zoom modes, the 6 Pro has a couple of different zoom modes, and of course the quality gets dumbed down a bit once you get closer, but I found all of the pictures to be great when compared to other smartphones. The shutter speed was very good from the start. I decided to test this out by shooting moving cars, and as you can see right here, the camera was able to capture most cars beautifully no matter how fast they were going, so I was pretty satisfied. Now next up, I want to show you guys how the camera performed in different environments, and the first environment that I will be starting with is daytime. Now looking at the outside photos, we can see that they have a really great shadow of depth whenever I'm taking pictures of myself, along with a nice blur, and this is scaled all the way up once I use the portrait mode that Pixel has always been good at. I also took some photos of random street objects, the sky, different aspects of nature, and I can honestly say that the 6 Pro held up very well in these environments, and I'm really impressed. And now in the tougher settings, I would pretty much say that everything still looked good, but the only complaint that I have is the shutter speed when the lighting isn't great. Now taking a look at inside photos, the 6 Pro was able to capture everything very nice, and I found all the pictures to be slightly more detailed when it came to sharpness. Even when taking selfies, you can see how the camera handles already good lighting to produce an overall nicely taken photo. My skin tone looked really good, and the sharpness was at its peak. And now when it comes to shooting video, the 6 Pro is easily one of the best phones that you can buy in this price range. You have many different modes and frame rates to choose from, starting with 720p all the way up until 4K, and as far as frame rates, you have 30 and 60. But if I'm being honest, I prefer to shoot my videos at 4K at 30 frames per second because not only does it look good, but it also has that realistic feel. The video stabilization was out of this world. I shoot my videos with my phone, so whenever I'm shooting my subject, I can use everything handheld and the movements will be very smooth, which was very impressive. So all in all, I would definitely say that the Pixel 6 Pro has an amazing video camera that'll give you some consistently good shots. So if you're someone who wants to shoot content or you just want a solid camera, the 6 Pro has got you covered. And also here's some extra videos that I was able to get. So here's the final question. Is the Pixel 6 Pro a good phone to buy in 2023? Well, I would say that it's a good phone and you should buy it because it's 100% worth it. And again, the Pixel 6 Pro has almost everything that the 7 Pro has, from the software to the display to the features all the way down to the look. So you're basically getting a Pixel 7 Pro for a much cheaper price. And if you are someone who does prefer the Pixel 6 Pro, it's definitely a phone that you'll be satisfied with. And again, it's very cheap, so that's an added benefit. But there it is, you guys, my review on the Pixel 6 Pro. Now let me know down in the comments, do you guys think that the Pixel 6 Pro is better than the 7 Pro in terms of value? Let me know.